morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you this morning? I'm great. I don't know. It's a lovely day, it seems. So definitely not a day that we want to be spending indoors. And so thank you for being here. 8 o'clock in the morning, every day, right here on LinkedIn and right here on YouTube at the same time. I joked in one of the episodes that, I always wanted to be in two places at the same time. And I finally managed to do that. So, just from my side, really, really thank you for taking the time to spend it with me. So early in the morning, a lot of people have told me that this has given them structure and something to start the day off with or something to look forward to, and that just inspires me to do more and more and more and see how we can make this better. And so thank you very, very much. Without people watching, it doesn't really help us doing this. And I'm really doing this from the bottom of my heart and something that gives me purpose. I mean, there's definitely something in it for me. And that's the fact that I get up early every morning because I have to, because otherwise I maybe didn't have to. And I don't know if you maybe now feel the same way. But I'm really, really excited for today's topic, talking about client experience. And some things that I've come to learn over the last year and a half or so. Things that I think we should be looking at. Also, how do we think about customer or client experience in a digital world now? It's always been part of it, but now there's this huge focus on working virtually and differently, and it's harder to make things tangible and to make things really exciting for a client in that sense. It's great. It's definitely efficient and it helps us a lot. But so I want to get into all of those. And there's about 3 or 4 examples that I want to give you. And next week, I'm going to have a guest on as well that's going to talk about his particular sort of way of doing things as well. We need to agree on exactly what we're going to be talking about. But in essence, it's going to be about, the client experience that he creates. And I've also experienced this personally. And that's why I decided to ask him as well to come onto the show. So somewhere next week, I will announce it tomorrow probably, exactly when that will be. On Wednesday, that we've got Wessel Oosthuizen. So Wessel Oosthuizen is coming on the show on Wednesday. We've got some interesting things that we want to talk about. So that's something you definitely don't want to miss. And I'll announce a little bit closer to the time exactly what that is as well. But we've had a long chat on Friday. And, in the middle of the chat, I interrupted him. I said, Wessel, don't you want to come on the show and share this with people because they're going to find it so, so valuable. And just the thing, it's got nothing to do with financial planning, nothing. It's got to do with you. It's got to do with your business. And it's just a concept and an idea, something that maybe you've seen somewhere, but either forgotten about or something that you haven't really understood what you saw or you just never saw it. So it's very interesting. It really opened up a new world for me. And so I want to share that with you. When I come across these kind of things, then I get very excited and I just want to share it with everybody. And that's sort of that. Let me see quickly. So you know that you need to say hi when you're here. Say hi, so I know that you're here. Let me see quickly here. I've got Jan Delport. Good morning, Jan. Second day in a row, you're becoming you got to earn your badge for being a regular. Thank you very much for that. Stephen Nell, Stephen, thank you. Elmin Lottering, welcome, Elmin, welcome back. Then also Adrian Jordan saying more. Good morning. Just for those English people that is like good morning. It's not we want more, but you can shout there as well if you wanted to. Shout that you want more. You're welcome. Raymond, welcome. Nice to see you here, and Bernette as well. Welcome. I really appreciate it. All the way from Turbs or somewhere there about. I know you there around about there. Razan, good morning. She says good morning to all. Nice to have you here. And then, of course, Mr. Terence Tobin. Good morning, Terence. We had a nice chat in the week. I'm watching you. Just, cheering from the sidelines with everything that you're planning. Alrighty, Neil Phillips, good morning on LinkedIn. Surieta, goeiemorgen, good morning. You brought lots of coffee. Thank you. It feels like I need my coffee is already empty. So, it was a quick start to the morning for me. Slanganani, Sunny Bunani, good morning. Welcome. Peter Strydom, welcome back. Kobus Klein, good morning, Kobus. Welcome terug. Kirsty Scully, good morning. Kirsty, welcome here. Ronnie Els, welcome back. Great to see you here again. Peter van der Merwe, I don't know if you've watched In Silence before, but it's the first time I'm seeing you here. Good morning. And then John R. Clark, man, how are you? This is nice. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, remember to like the video if you're on YouTube or on LinkedIn. It obviously helps to get it out there. So on LinkedIn you can react to it. So you can clap hands, or you can love it, or you can just like it, or you can say that you find it insightful. It'll help if you can do that. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let me just get over here. I must always remember to switch some of these things off. Who else have we got over on LinkedIn? We've got Arun. Arun, welcome back. And Yaku Roots, welcome. Thank you guys for being here again. I really, really appreciate it. South Broom, South Coast. Nice. Thank you, Raymond. Now I won't forget again. At least I was somewhere in the right direction. At least I didn't put you in Cape Town, did I? So, yeah, happy to have gotten that right. But South Broom, I remember when I played golf a lot at school, there was in one of the magazines, there was the South Broom golf course, if I remember correctly now. And I just remember it was this wavy kind of fairway, but I've never seen something that green in my life. So I don't know, is that where the beautiful golf course is? I know there's a lot of beautiful golf courses in Natal, but I think that one was the one that I said I always wanted to go and play it. Yeah, but anyway, that's just a quick story. Good morning, Malcolm. Welcome back. Thank you very much for being here again. I really appreciate it. And yeah, let's get cracking. So I can take that off, and we can take that off. If you're on YouTube, please remember to subscribe. It'll help me a lot. We've grown. This morning we're standing on 177 subscribers. So thank you very much. We've grown by almost 100 subscribers in less than a month. Very, very grateful for that. Thank you very much. There are lots planned. I've got a lot of plans for, particularly in terms of my content. Because and we spoke about like creating content, where I said, when you create video, you can create a lot of other things off of that video. So YouTube is going to become sort of the first place where we're going to create a lot of content for, and then off the back of that, we're going to do a lot of other things based on that content as well. Now we're sitting, today is episode 23 of this live show, and within this, it's great when you're watching live, because you're in it and we're discussing and you're chatting, and it's nice, and you're filling up your coffee. But when watching a recording and it's not live, there's nothing to really keep you there. So people get distracted, or they say, oh, this intro is taking too long, or whatever, but what we're going to maybe do then later on is to sort of look at all of this content that we've created, and then created some subsets of content from there for the recorded stuff. So you will still have the full recording based on this, but maybe we'll do, I don't want to call them clips, but it may be subsections. Maybe we discuss something in particular in a specific episode, and we'll put that out as a video as well. I've got somebody that I may start to use to do this editing for me. I've already asked him actually in December, and he said to me, "It's yes, he would absolutely. This is what he's studying as well. So it's one of our family members, really, really good at what he does." And yeah, so I must just get to that point to say, well, there's the stuff. Have a look at it and see. So yeah, I'm very excited. Things are gonna really be ramped up, and not just only, as I said, because of the because of the lockdown and what's going on at the moment. It's really about like, this is what I want to do. I've been planning this for a very, very long time to do this, but there's always something taking precedence. I don't know if you find the same in your own business or in your own life. There's all these things that you want to do, but there's always something else that's more important. There's always something that wasn't on the list that manages to slip in ahead of the things that you should do. If I see what we've managed to do in these last 23 days, my mind is blown. And then I think to myself, why have I been struggling for 5 years to sort of do things? And I don't know. I don't know why we allow that. And now that you can't really go anywhere, you can't really do other stuff, so now you're focused. Like, this is the thing I'm doing now. And again, I want to say that again, that this is an ideal time to do the things that you've said you always wanted to do. This is an ideal time to focus on how can you now make yourself better, because there's never time to learn. There's never time to do things. There's never times to try things. There's never time. And now that I think we've got the time, or the opportunity rather, but again, you can now choose whether you're going to do that, or are you going to to focus on, oh, I don't have clients, or my clients are canceling. And I know it takes a lot of time because you need to talk to these people. Yesterday, I spoken to a friend of mine, and he was on the phone with a client for 2.5 hours yesterday on Friday, Good Friday. It's, I know it's hard, but there's also ample opportunity now to focus on the things, because here's my point, is that you need to position yourself right now for the recovery. Whether that recovery happens now in 2 weeks' time or not, it won't happen overnight. It will start, and it will take a long time to recover. But are you going to be in that perfect position? And in one of the episodes, I was talking about, how do you, one of those simulations that we did when I went to that course at Standard Bank's Global Leadership Center back in 2009, where it was this financial management simulation, but it was a business being run, and then it hit bad times, and then, you were broken up into teams, and each team had to decide what they're going to do. What is the strategy going to be? And the team that won, and that sort of, let's say, solved the simulation, if you can say it in that way, was the team that actually focused on building capacity and building resources and upskilling themselves during the downtime. So when the recovery starts, think about this when you go into the markets. And sorry, this has got nothing to do with client experience. We're going to get to client experience in a second. But once you get there, it's like the markets. When you climb out of the market, because that's what you're basically doing, right? So you're climbing out of the market, and you don't want to be like, I don't want to go through this volatility. And this is the same as downsizing. It's the same as just getting out of the, thank you. Thanks. See, my wife obviously heard me say I don't have coffee anymore, so she's bringing me coffee. She's so awesome. Sorry for that. So you climb out of the market to get out of that, and then what you do is you want to get back in, but by the time you get back in, you've missed most of the recovery probably because it happens so quick. So you have to be in the market before the recovery happens. It's exactly the same thing that's happening now. You can compare the market going down to our businesses, obviously, being like, okay, there's not much business to do. Maybe there's not nothing, I hope, for you, but it's tough times because you got to spend a lot of energy, a lot of time on a lot of things to try and keep people. So now you're doing that. But at the same time, you have to make time to build capacity, to build skills, to build processes, to put technology into place that's going to position you in such a way that when this recovery happens, then you're not running around at that point, because at that point, you need to be focusing on business to make up for what we've lost in the past. So you've got to make sure that you are right. And a big part of that, why I'm sort of leading with this, is because of, client experience is a big part of that. And this is something that all of us have a client experience. There is not one business who does not have a client experience. This is almost like a value proposition. You can't have a business without offering some form of a value proposition, because you first need to create value. In other words, you need to identify a problem and have a solution for it. And then there's a whole host of other things. And then one of the other things is that you need to deliver that value, and that's your value proposition, right? So the same with your client experience. There's going to be a client experience, whether you've designed it or not. There is a client experience, and maybe it's not bad, but the problem usually comes in with you'll give the same service or the same experience to two people, but they experience it very differently. Think about it like, I always used to go on trips with a corporate that I worked for. Either it was conferences, or if you want a trip or whatever it was. But then you go alone. My wife or the spouses never goes with. You know how these things are. So you go there, and I'll give you a good example. In 2007, I was in the top 10 national for consultants in the country, and as part of that, the top 10 stayed in the Valley of the Lost, in the Lost City Palace. Okay, and I had this room which was felt to me like a mansion. This king-size bed, the most wonderful freaking bathroom, views, name it. If you leave, it's so cool that if you leave the window open, the monkeys come in and steal your sugar. It's fantastic. It's like, but I was there all alone in that room, and even all the pictures that I took and sent to my wife, and videos, and, coming back and telling her about it, the experience is just not the same, So it's sort of the same thing when you have two clients where you deliver the same thing, but some of them don't experience it exactly the same way as what you do. And that's why, I believe, quite frankly, to sort of get into exactly, what is a client experience? It's exactly that. It is about being memorable. It is about making an impression. It is about having something that the client walks away from and say, you know what, that's something new. And over time, but that's obviously the first time that they experience it. And then over time, they get accustomed to sort of that. And that's also where the danger lies, is if we don't continuously work on our client experiences, you do it once and then you leave it like that for the next 30 years. At some point, people are going to get bored. So it's an ongoing process. Client experience is not a once-off, let's plan it, we implement it, that works fantastically well, let's stick to it. So it's about being memorable. It's about making an impression. It is really about creating, an excitement and feelings with clients. And going back to the day before yesterday, when was it on, what was yesterday? Friday. So Thursday's episode, I spoke about, remember, beliefs. And one of the things I sort of got wrong, because beliefs create certain thoughts. So I left the thoughts part out. But if you think about a client experience, you can really influence, because I said that the action at the end of the day is influenced by the belief in the beginning. So it was the belief that leads to thoughts. Those thoughts, whatever you're thinking, creates some form of a feeling. And that feeling ultimately then leads to an action, be it a good or a bad action, and sometimes a reaction. But you look at it from that point. I think client experience is one of those things where you can change the belief of a client of whatever it is that they believe about financial advisors, or whatever they believed about you before. Whatever it may be in that sense. Client experience is one of those things that can really change that. And that means that how they feel about you and how they think about you, and then how they interact with you and how much they use you and how much they value you, completely changes. So client experience is one of those things that I think people have been ignoring, in a sense, not on purpose, but just it's not something that we usually focus on. Some people would say that client experience is service. But the problem with that is that, everybody expects good service. And in South Africa, often people just expect service, not even good service. As long as you can get service, that's okay, because we've fallen into this sort of place of mediocrity, I think, where, we expect to battle. We expect it to be a mission. We expect it to be a problem. I saw someone posting on LinkedIn last night, which I don't know how I feel about this, but, so often, and he's got a point, okay? And I agree with the point. There's no issue with the point, but I think there's different ways that we can approach this. I always say, before you post on social media, you must go and decide, is this necessary? Is it helpful? Is it really kind or not? And in this case, I don't know if it needs to meet all three of those things, but I don't know, yeah, that's something I heard for the first time from Quentin. He said it for the first time. And since then, I've always been like, you know what, whenever you post something, even if I feel like I don't agree with someone, or there's maybe something, the message seems just a little bit off, I would rather send them a private message in their inbox and say, well, here's the thing. But this guy obviously is, one of two things: very frustrated with the situation, and he wants to say, well, we do better than that, so come to us rather than that guy. And the whole point was, it was about somebody that has a policy. So this advisor is looking after one part, and then there was another advisor looking after all the other things. And now this guy got sick, and he needed to claim, but can't get hold of that advisor for 10 days. And this guy's going off on a tangent. You don't know if that other advisor's maybe fallen sick or what's going on there. Is he just MIA? I don't know what the situation is, but we always assume sort of the worst. And, it's part of that thing. The whole point about this is, well, two things. Is like, be careful about what you say and how you say it, because you don't always have all the facts, even though you think that this guy's, well, maybe he's not. And on the other hand, it's like, that is maybe going to be a bad experience now, because there's nothing in place with the new situations for clients to get hold of you, or for clients to still get what it is that they need in these times. And I can tell you today, where I sit here, that I think that things are going to change drastically after this, because two things. Advisors have now sort of been forced to see how the tech works and sort of use it. And they may still not like it, but they can see the benefits of it. And we spoke about this. I'm not going to speak about it again. But the second thing is, I'm telling you today, is that the clients are going to drive digital and virtual meetings more and more and more, for the simple reason is that they realize how much time they're saving in the process. So you will still meet face to face. There will still be a necessity for that. But I'm telling you today, if you're not going to look at how do you really incorporate digital into your whole process, and now the other thing is, and I'll end off with that actually, is how do we take your client experience and take it virtually as well? You know, because the things I want to share with you are all things that work great when you work in person and when you deal with clients directly. But how do we sort of get that same thing in a virtual world? So let's just say that 30% of your clients wants to work virtually, or what if 50 or 60 or 70% of them wants to work virtually? What then? Well, what can you do, Mark? All right, but that's basically, in a nutshell, I think how I've come to learn. And on this channel and in my training and everything that I do, I try and make it simple. I don't try and be fancy and use all these wonderful words that you may read in marketing books and practice management books and those kind of things. It is simply how you feel, and whether somebody is able to take you away from that advisor because they make you feel better than the current advisor. So that's really what it is about. I also, just to end off with client experience, or what it is about, is that I feel that you have to design a client experience. Client experience isn't just an outcome of what it is that you do, although it could be. Client experience is really about, you're intentional. The things you do are aimed at something very, very specific. And at the end of the day, as I said, all of the things together is what creates your client experience. It is not, welcome, yes, some nice coffee, and that was now the client experience. It is everything, but I'm going to go through that this morning as we go along. Good morning, Khomotso. Welcome. Nice to see you here. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. I'll get to LinkedIn in a second and just see what's happening there. All right. I hope you have a coffee as well. Alrighty, let's go. Let me see. So I wanted to share with you a few stories around some practical things that I experienced myself. It was in different points in time. It was definitely during a point in time where I was trying to figure out how I transitioned from just the normal way of getting paid to fees. So the whole fee thing for me was a big reason why I was looking into all of this. Because I realized one thing is that I can't be doing the same as everybody else, and I work the same as what I've worked before, and then I want to charge fees for that suddenly, where previously you get commissions. And I, at that point I thought, like, well, you have to do things differently. You have to create something for the client. I just didn't have a word for it. The client experience was not a word for me back then. But I can tell you, so on this particular day, and you'll see I'm playing off the words here, and experience to account for. But what happened was, so we had a meeting at the office that day, and I tried to sort of, because things have been running the same way for a very long time. And I thought, like, let me introduce some new ideas and let's talk about it and just to see, what's happening. And I want a nice vibe in the office. And when clients get there, they must just feel, it's great and all of that. And it started off with something simple. So just how do we greet people when they get there, and the kind of coffee that they get when literally that was part of the discussion that day. And then after that, I had to go to a meeting in Bedfordview. It was an accounting practice. I went to there to see an accountant. I think she was a CA. But anyway, I went there. And it was a referral from someone, I can't remember now, but this was back in 2013, 2014, roundabout. And I obviously drove there, and it's in an office park, got to the office park. It's nice, obviously. So went into the building. And as I walked into the office of this accounting practice or this audit practice, as I walked in there, the first thing that I noticed, well, there was two things that I noticed and then some other thought, and this is again coming back to beliefs, right? So I walk in and there's this beautiful counter, like a normal reception counter, those high ones like you find at the doctors, etc. But it's a high counter. It's not a small little table. But I saw it, and it was obviously like a darkish wood, and then it had like a very nice, and you'll see I love blue. So the blue thing is like, it stood out to me. It was almost like like wallpaper or something that was stuck to the front of it. But just to sort of bring that in, because everything there was blue, silver, and grayish. So it looked really, really beautiful. And then behind the reception, there was this curved wall, okay, with the accounting practices logo on it, big in laser cut stainless steel, I guess. I don't know. But that was stuck on that wall. Yes, and it was just wow, this looks very, very nice. And then I saw the lady sitting at the reception. So she has a normal desk. So as I came walking in, she's facing that way. So basically what's happening is that, let me do this. So she's sitting like this, all right? And I'm coming from this way. So she's sitting here, and I thought to myself, and here's the belief thing. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. And as I came in, because usually what happens, you walk into the reception and they ignore you. It's like, I'm finishing, I'm busy typing. Can you see I'm busy typing an email? Or I'm on the phone, even freaking worse. I'm on the phone. Can you just, I'm just busy. I'm just, and then you stand there and you feel like, yeah, not going to mention now what you feel like. But anyway, so oh hell. Anyways, let me just put this thing back. I don't know how the hell that happened. Anyway, live shows, I love it. And then that's my first blooper, guys. Yeah, there we go. Okay, anyway, at least it didn't break. So as this woman obviously she maybe caught me from the side of her eyes, coming in. And then as she looked at me, she lit up, literally. And it was this big, big smile. And she was so, so friendly. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's not what I expected. So already, boom, first experience. This is different. Immediately, this is different, okay? Secondly, obviously, I announced myself. I said, this is who I am. I'm here to see this person. I have an appointment for, I think it was at 11. And she said, cool, she's going to call her. And then she asked, is there anything that I would like to drink? And then usually we don't know what to say, It's like, yeah, okay, what's on offer? But without me having to ask, she said to me, you can choose. We have coffee and tea, but then we also do cappuccino. So we do a brilliant cappuccino, and we have hot chocolate. And there was, obviously, you can have water, and there was something else as well. And I was just like, wow, can I have a cappuccino, please? Because you know from yesterday that I like cappuccinos. And yeah, it was amazing. Just that whole thing. And then I had to go wait there in the waiting area, and I was sitting there, and it was neat because usually you go to these things. There are books that are like 70 years old. The very first and second edition of the Huisgenoot is there, together with the Keer and the Rooi Rose, and the You and the People magazine from 1975 when I was born. That's what's on the table. And it's usually people also that walk past you, if it's a busy office, they don't greet. Everybody's on their own mission. And every single person that came past greeted me. I sat there. The books were neat. They haven't got those little like bent corners, and they were up to date magazines that we could read. And what went through my head? And there were nice plants and things around me and that. But I then said, well, that's how I want. If I ever have an office, and now I don't think I'll ever have an office, but if ever we have an office, I would love it to be like this. This is what I would want people to experience when they get there. So I'm not going to tell the rest of the story, but that was basically my first encounter with client experience without me even knowing what that was. And I wasn't even the client. I mean, I'm there to see my client. All right. But I mean, that should tell you what it's like when people come and visit you, the kind of experience that you can create. And maybe on that point, before I forget to talk about that, is that the one thing I'm always very careful with is that when we always go to clients, or when we visit or we see clients at coffee shops or restaurants or their place of work, wherever we see them, we must understand that you can't really control the client experience because there are too many things that you don't control in that space. You're not in charge in that space. So if you really want to create a very good client experience, they should rather come and see you. Now, obviously, that is not possible for all of us. But I'm just saying, if you really want to take it to the next level, that is something that you need to consider. And part of that was also always been for me saying that that's how you save time. You don't have to drive there. So you can be so much more productive by doing that. And now with this whole virtual thing and people seeing how much time they can actually save, because you're going to save time in two ways. One, you're not going to be traveling. Neither of you are going to be traveling, because usually somebody's traveling, right? But nobody's going to be traveling. And the meetings tend to be shorter because they are online. Okay. And it doesn't mean that, oh, can old Claudia mense weer. So some of the people are like, yeah, but now the relationship is going to suffer, you know? No. Does your relationship suffer with your children when they live overseas? You don't see them that much, but maybe because we don't make enough effort. But if you wanted to, you can chat to them every single day. You can share with them every single day. You can video call. You can send them stuff. Yes, absolutely. I experience it now with my granddaughter. It is not the same as being with them and being able to hold her and things like that, but we stay connected. So that's why you need to have a blend between the two to say, well, we can have these meetings virtually, but then, you know, often let's get together still once a year, for example, at least. But you can do so much more with the online stuff. All right. Before I move on to the next story, let's see quickly. Good morning, Johan Klutter. Welcome. Yeah, Johan and them released their RE1 and RE5 virtual training, guys. You need to check it out. So many people are asking me for RE. RE is not my thing. And I've heard only good things about Johan's RE offering. So if anybody needs RE1 and RE5 training, they used to have only the mock exams, I think, and do face-to-face training. They've now got virtual training. So I saw that they launched that. So well done for you, Johan. So I just wanted to make people aware of that. And good morning, Francis. Cindy, welcome back. Yeah, just Ronnie, sorry, over on LinkedIn, on YouTube, you need to look for Francois. I know that the gospel guy is not me, but you need to look for Francois de Toy Consulting, and you'll find me there easily in that sense. Ronnie, I must put you, are you not on the WhatsApp list? Because I send the link every morning on my WhatsApp list, the actual link for this specific broadcast. So let me know. Thanks, Quibus. You got my back. Thank you so much. Alexander, good morning. First time I've seen you here. Thank you very much for joining us. Peter says, having an inclusive, educational, interactive advice process really pays dividends. At the end of the process, most clients respond by saying, for the first time, I understand. Yes. See, that's a big part of it. Great. Quibus says, I saw the post, Francois, it was in bad taste, but it was purely prospecting and it does not do anything positive for our profession. I have the same, I'm still considering how I feel exactly about it. I read it about 3 times, but yeah, I also get like, this is like, because he said, if you're not happy with that, then you know, make an appointment with me. And I get the frustration, and I know that there are experiences like that out there, but there's, you know, yeah, we can deal with it differently. Chart, hi all, rather late than never. Yes, Chart. Luckily, I take so long to greet everybody. You can't be that late, so that's cool. Neil says, Francois, your experience was just because you are a celebrity. Nonsense, man. Nobody knew me. Peter says, talking about training, there is a lot of stuff for advisors, but what about client training? Yes. And that is something that I definitely also want to get into, Peter, because there are some ideas that I'm playing around with to say, you know what, why? And there's one specific guy that sort of put me onto this, you know, when I started to look at his stuff and watch his stuff and read his stuff and attend his stuff, etc. It's a guy from the USA, and what they've done in order to educate clients and help them. And I can see what that's doing for them, because the things that they have started educating them on, and they make money from that. It's not that they do it for free. We should stop with this whole, like, you know, we just offer everything for free because one day I want to sell you a policy. There's value in it. The question is, are you delivering value? And maybe that entry level to help the guys a very low price that you're charging. But if you are the person that helped them make that transformation, you'll be amazed at what you are able to do later on. So I'll talk about that definitely, about how I see that playing out and what advisors can do. And if we've got time today, which we're already past halfway, I may get into that as well. But otherwise, I'll do that in tomorrow's session. All right. Then a metrics for experience. So yesterday I said, sort of mentioned to you that last year I visited Portfolio Metrics' offices where is it? In Bryanston? I can't remember now exactly where it was. I know it was to that side. And because one of the guys, they wanted to see me to do some work for them on it. So they've got a very nice system actually that guys use for planning. And they wanted me to do some work on the income tax stuff and give them guidance and advice and those things, that what needs to be in there and how it works, etc. But I went there to the offices. And again, so this is now last year. So I think about my first experience was 2013, I think it was definitely in 2014. Yeah, it was here in the middle of 2014. So the next one is now in 2019, right? So it's like 5 years later. And I walk again into the offices. They also, most of these businesses are in an office park, but I walk into the office. And here what I notice is, although with the accounting thing, it was nice furniture and it looked nice and it was, but your sort of your standard office kind of stuff. So now I walk into Portfolio Metrics' office, and I actually wanted to show you a picture. I took a picture, but I didn't put it on so I can show you now. So first thing, you walk in and this is proper wood. Like everything is like proper wood, like handcrafted stuff, right? This isn't mass-produced office furniture, new and neat. No. This is like bespoke stuff, it looks to me like. You walk in there, same thing, eh? So it's this big, like it's almost black. It's a very, very dark brown. This whole reception counter is also one of those high ones. Again, the lady behind, like friendly, smiles, welcome, make you, how often do you visit a place and you feel like, I'm not welcome here, or I don't feel welcome. It's not that you're not welcome, but you don't feel welcome necessarily. And everything starts with that first person that greets you. And that was the same experience. And I had this flashback to the accounting thing. And I thought, like, okay, this is cool. But then she made me wait. And then it's just right next to the reception. So you walk into the reception, and then right next to the reception is just a big seating area. So the only thing that's separating her from the reception area is that like it looks like some form of a bookcase or a cupboard or something. But again, all in the same kind of wood. Nice. It feels like that carpet was this thick that's there. Okay. It's these big, bulky leather couches that you sit on and wait. It's not this little, I always talk about an APSA chair like the one I'm sitting on now. It's like this typical waiting room kind of, no. They've got these big, bulky, genuine leather seats. And obviously, half these things are not possible for many of us, but it doesn't matter. It's the idea that you can work towards that. Then they have this art against the wall, but like huge, all right? And it's just, everything just makes an impression. So then she took me through to the meeting room where we're meeting again, same like proper wooden tables, nice screen, everything's neat. The cables are not everywhere. It's neat, and it's like proper chairs that you sit in again, like everything's leather. And here's the thing, why I'm sharing this with you, it's not to say, well, Portfolio Metrics are spending all their money on these nice things. You know what happened? What I realized when I was standing there waiting for this guy is, this is nice. Like, this is very nice. But yes, the second feeling I had, it's like, you're going to pay more. Here you're going to pay. Things are going to cost more, yeah. Because these guys are proper. I immediately got like, these oaks are proper. Okay, they do a proper job, so they will charge accordingly. And also, obviously, if you have things like this, you are charging more probably. But already, without even meeting, speaking, nothing, I would have had the impression that I'm going to pay more here. So you've already set the expectation without even saying anything to them. And that is huge in terms of client experience. And it also makes the rest of the conversation so much easier, so you can impress also with things that are not to do with people and that are not to do with what's being said or what's being given to you. It is just the environment that you find yourself in. So that plays a huge role in terms of that. Then an advice experience. So this is somebody that I went to see it was around about 2014, 2015. It's somebody that I know from my days in Welcome, and I ran into him at a coronation meeting, and I said to him, can I just come and spend a few minutes with you at your office? And this is what I want to talk about. I'm trying to go to fees. I know you've been doing this for a long time, and he said, by all means, please come. And I'm not going to tell you the entire experience there, but there's one particular thing that sort of blew my mind when I got there. It was the same thing. You get there, very friendly people. It's sort of the same theme that goes on, but very, very friendly people, neat reception area, nice books, nice furniture. Everything is nice there. But then, when he came and fetched me, it's just the way that he treated me. And I'm nobody to him. I'm really like nobody to him. The way that he treated me, I'm not even a client. He's not going to make a cent off of me. But the way he treated me was just phenomenal. Okay. So we went into the boardroom, and then he obviously shows me everything, and I'm in awe because he uses technology and things to get things done and in the meeting and everything. But there's one particular thing that he sort of gave me. He showed me, and then he gave me one, to say what, if there's something that's working very well for us, it's these client folders. And I was just like, wow, because it was a nice, it wasn't just a normal file, because a lot of times we give somebody just a file. Someone will give them a red file. Someone will give them a particular color of file. But this particular folder it's a leather folder. It's got the name and the logo, what do you call, laminated on the front. Okay, so it's in gold on the dark blue. So it's there. You can see it. It looks nice. You go in, the file has got these glossy dividers in between for the different things that's going to be put into this file over time. And they give that to clients. And so that because the one thing, I don't know if I'm going to get to it today, but the one thing is that we need to make things tangible, because everything we do is really intangible. It's really just words and emails and things. There's nothing really to touch, what we do. Somebody has to something needs to happen to them to sort of see the outcome of what we've done, or they have to wait for retirement, or they have to wait for them to purchase whatever it is they want to purchase. All our stuff that we do, all the outcomes we create in the future. Okay, we rarely create anything right now, except if we help somebody with their budget today, or we help them make a decision today. Those are kind of outcomes that we can do today. If we help them through things, we start helping them today, but the outcome is still somewhere in the future. So how do we make it tangible today? And that was a big thing for me about, just, wow, this was amazing. I really enjoyed it from that point of view. So I don't know, if you want to share what it is you're doing, you're welcome. It'll be quite cool to sort of see that. But it's some interesting times. Okay, Ronnie, sorry, I will do it right afterwards. If I didn't, I will do that. So Johan says they offer more than 130 soft skill workshops, which can be used for your clients. Great stuff. Randy, welcome. Nice to see you. Really happy to have you here. Thanks, man. It's awesome. Thank you, guys. Let me just hop on over to YouTube quickly. Let me see what's happening here. Good morning, Mr. Oosthuizen. Welcome here. Arun, Francois attending virtual presentations is going to be the new format, and it's going to save hours. The same will apply to client meetings. Clients will adapt accordingly. I believe, what's the thing that's going to make them adapt? Is the fact that they feel like they've got their life back, that they have time for their family, that they have time to do other things, like me, getting time to paint maybe. That is what's going to happen. If I don't have to drive after everyone, I'm not so rushed, I'm not so stressed, there's less anxiety. And as soon as people feel like, wow, I feel different, I feel like my old self, this is where it comes in, where people say, when I gaan daai storie van it went better with me when my mom was still looking after me, and in Afrikaans we say like het beter gegaan met my toe my ma nog na my gekyk het. So those are the things that people are going to realize, that I'm starting to feel like back then. There's less stress, there's less anxiety, because sometimes we look at those things and we think it's worry, and those things do cause us to worry, and the worry is really the big thing that we don't want to do. And it's just nobody's realizing we've gotten into this groove of just like we drive there every day, we drive to every meeting, and that's, so I fully agree with you, Arun. Let me not go too deep into that hole. 95% of my client meetings are in my office. Yeah, that's fantastic. Kobus Klein, the same thing. Arno Burger, exactly the same thing. I don't know. These are some of the people that I know personally that see people in their offices, and it's always a case of 95%. And I've been to your office, Arun. So yeah, it's cool. I like it. Great stuff. All right. So here's a big thing. Okay. and I've spoken about this a little bit in another session, but if you want to start doing a client experience, you want to create a client experience, the place to start is to really visualize. So I would start with what happens at the moment. I would actually, what I would do is I would get a client or somebody as a new client to come to make an appointment and come to your office. But you don't tell your staff what's going on. This is like when a food critic comes to a restaurant. When they know this food critic is going to be there, everybody's pulling out all the stops to impress. But as soon as they're gone, then we're back to normal. So you don't want them. It's like this mystery shopper kind of thing. Get somebody to come in and go through the entire process, not maybe just with you, because obviously you'll know that this is going to be somebody, but to sort of see what it's like when they get there, how they treated, what they are offered, and then get their feedback afterwards. Maybe I have 2 or 3 people that do that, so you can at least have a bit of a variety of feedback. But that's one place to start, is what is the existing experience like? Because it's easy to take what you already have and make it better. Then you can take the other side, where you look at what your client experience, what would you like it to be? And you scrap everything you're doing and you design a new process and a new thing from scratch. So that obviously would be one of the other options that you could do. So if that is the route you want to take, is that you need to visualize this, okay? Because now you don't have other people to give you feedback. So you need to visualize what it is like. So just take more note that when you drive up to your office, what does it look like? Where you park, what does it look like? Is there all sorts of weeds coming up through the paving or wherever? Is the parking base clearly indicated? If you're in an office park, is it easy to find you? All those kind of things. And I don't want to run things ahead because my guest next week, they are phenomenal at guiding you right to the front door, getting you in, and how they treat you, because I had the same experiences there as what I've shared with you in some of the other things this morning. So I'm really looking forward to that. So keep an eye. I'll announce exactly what we're going to be talking about and who I'm talking to. But that's what you want to do. And one of the things that I said, I already sort of alluded to this earlier, is that we've got to make things tangible. And the way to make things tangible is to give them something, like something physical. Okay. So the way that we do that in financial planning is through a paper trail, unfortunately. And now it's going to be even harder, because now I want to email you stuff, or I want to put it in your online storage, or I want to whatever, but yeah, I think we really need to go back to the drawing board and say, well, how are we not going to do this in a virtual environment for those clients who prefer to work with me in that sense? Now, some of the things I think that works great is the file idea, because once lockdown is over, we can courier those to the client and they can have something physical. I remember when I started with a business coach 3 years, I don't even know how long, 3 years ago. When we started, unannounced, I didn't know, they delivered here a box of things. And there was some dry fruit and some biltong, but there was also a book in there, and there was something else I can't remember now. But it was something that, wow, there's something tangible, because coaching is also something that you're going to get the outcome from later. But those are some of the things that, it makes an impression. You have something physical, and I still have the book here, in my little library on the side. And I think we need to think about those kind of things. How can we make it tangible? Your office is a very important space and a very important environment that you need to consider, or just your place of meeting. Then rather getting a Regis kind of office, or a WeWork, or there's another place there in North Riding now. I don't know what the name is. I know, Terence, you looking at using that, so you can maybe let us know what that place is called. But you have all of these virtual working space, shared working spaces, that you can, have a proper place to go have a meeting if you want to control the environment. So that is a lot better than meeting at a coffee shop. Yes, it's going to cost you money, but it's about the level of professionalism and the whole experience that you're creating for the client. And then obviously gifts. Gifts is another way of really, making things tangible by leaving them something. And here's something that I spoke about in December, and very few of you watched that video, I know. But I made a video in December talking about, are you going to give year of end gifts to your client? Now, maybe because it was year of end gifts, maybe it was a little bit late because you already bought the gifts and whatever, you didn't want to look at it. But let me share it with you today. When you're giving gifts, and it doesn't only apply to year of end of year gifts, it applies to whenever you give a gift. You don't put your logo on a gift, ever. A lot of people are so like, we have these gifts that we give to our top clients when it's their birthday, but we put our logo on it. That's marketing. That's not a gift. And I experienced this a lot of times. We're like, wow, this is nice. And then there's a freaking logo on it. And I'm not going to wear a thing with a logo on or use a thing with a logo on. If my wife puts together a very nice Christmas table, I'm not going to put a salt and pepper thing on there that's got some corporate's logo on it. I mean, really? So when you give a gift, it must be something that is meaningful to that person. It must be something that really hits them in the heart. Okay. So it must be something that they're interested in. That's important. So you need to obviously know the person to really be able to do that. Because what do? We usually default to some form of liquor or wine or chocolates or flowers. It's because you don't really know your client. If you really know your client, you're going to get a gift that something that they're interested in, something that's going to hit them in the heart. So that's very, very important if you give those gifts. And then never put your logo on it. If you want to do marketing, if you've got a golf day or you have a client event or things like that, by all means, that's not a gift, that's marketing. So you give them something with your logo on. But that's something very, very simple that I just wanted to share with you as well. So just back to the whole folder thing, what you could do is, just sort of for a new prospective client, for instance, if you made the appointment, you've engaged with them a little bit, and now before the actual meeting, you can courier them this information. You can courier them a little file, or when they come into your office, that you can give them a folder, and you must see that as a marketing expense, because often people say, I only give it to people who become clients. But you never know the kind of impact that would have. If you make an appointment with a client, you should rather look at your prospecting process and make sure that you only make appointments with the right people. But you can then give them that kind of folder with everything in it, with the agenda inside. You'll see one of the things that you can really do to up your game and to really better your experiences by incorporating agendas that you share before the time that you work from and that you stick to during the meeting. And then obviously give feedback on afterwards. So agendas is something, I don't know how many of you use agendas, but I think an agenda is a very important part of that. But yeah, I think what you'll send to them before the time, if a prospective client, is just your value proposition and what it is that you can do, and sort of the clients that you help and what you do for them. So that's obviously a marketing thing, is to get to put them in a position to get to know you a little bit better. And then during the first meeting, that's when they actually pitch for the meeting. That's when you give them the nice folder or the file to use from that point of view. And inside you can have like a nice writing pad with a pen, and that can be branded. It's fine. It doesn't matter because it is typically for your business, and it can be quite an expense. So put your logo on that. It's not a gift. And then also with a pad and everything, and that can a pen and that can work great. If you only work digital, I mean, don't send them iPads and things. It'll just cost you too much money. And I think then, once you onboard them as a client, then they can get your maybe a binder. So the first thing is more like a folder kind of thing. Then maybe there's another file. A lot of people talk about a file of life, or your life file, or your red file, or I don't know, I've seen many different iterations of this. But a file where all their financial things are kept together, where they can keep copies of the meetings that you've had with all of the policies and all of the important information, everything that is maybe required around their will. And how many of you have said that I want to do that because that's such a fantastic idea, and you still haven't done that? Why not? Okay, it's because there's always something else, as I said earlier, that sort of creeps in when it shouldn't. You can give things like tax returns, wills. Imagine this: when you have a client, whenever you ask them something, all they have to do is take out that file. And usually I'll let the wife run with that file. Most of the women are like very religious in terms of their files and how they stick to that. So that's just some of the ideas. Then I just want to quickly talk about gifts and cards and those kind of things. There are a lot of opportunities for us to engage with clients and to create an experience and to show them that you genuinely care. So some of these things should not be automated. You can automate things maybe if you want for certain segments of your clients. But I believe that when it comes to these things, this is an opportunity to really, really show that you care, So you can choose which clients those are. So you can put them in your CRM as this is, I want to personally phone this person on their birthday, etc. But you have things like birthdays and holidays. I mean, there are so many things that we can wish people on, happy this and happy that. But I think one of the things that we miss out a lot on is important milestones. when we look at important milestones, we, things like, let's say, a child going to school for the first time, a child going to high school for the first time, a child finishing high school, a child finishing primary school, a child going to university, a child finishing university. I mean, imagine those kind of things, because this is where, like, places like the Spur and that has been very, very successful, because they cater for the children, and then the parents come and spend all the money because they know children can't pay. But it's the same thing here. If you focus on the children, 99% of children are extremely important in a parent's life. And if you care for their children, they will see that you also care for them. And, there's something that I've gotten a lot of requests for, and that is referrals. So that's one of the things that we're incorporating into this thing next week. But I mean, just think about the power of that if you do things like that. But then you got to know what's going on. You got to track it from you, and you've got that information. Now, a lot of people are not putting their clients' children into their database because they're not clients. They only have the husband's details. They don't have the wife and the children's details. We are missing out on opportunities to create an experience and also to create continuity and sustainability in our businesses, because we're not engaging with those children. And often it's because we don't know how to engage with those children. We think it must be through a phone, or it must be through, those kind of things. But if we just focus on important milestones, and then what about the client themselves? Maybe they're studying further. Maybe they got a new job. Maybe they got married. Maybe they having their first baby. Maybe these are all milestones for a lot of people. And one needs to really know and understand your client to know exactly what it is that they value and what is very, very important to them. So that, I think, if there's one thing from this whole day's talk that you should take away, it is definitely about, focusing on important milestones as part of your client experience as well. If somebody gives you a referral, are you saying thank you to them? I guess most of us would do that. It's just a natural thing for us to do, because I know we're very grateful and that. So, yeah. And then also, when you have a new client, what do you do to welcome them? As I said, like, I received that gift. It's not always to send a gift. Sometimes it's just a phone call, sometimes it's maybe a written note. I don't know. But are we welcoming new clients properly to really make them feel welcome? When they arrive at your reception, do they feel welcome? When they're in your office, do they feel welcome? When they leave, do they feel they don't want to leave, that they feel so welcome? And those are all things that I don't know if we really think about these things. We just do what we do. And then obviously, the other thing is to show appreciation. And this is very powerful. And one of the things that I wrote down last night is I want to talk about virtual client events. How do we put together virtual client events? How can we create a community like we're doing here? How can you create a community in your practice for your clients? And how can you have events that is going to be impactful for them, but in a virtual setting? How can we take the things that we learn from doing it physically to virtual? So that's also definitely going to be a session in the coming week. So, whenever you do, if you want to show appreciation and you want to say thank you and you want to just show your gratitude, that is an extremely, extremely powerful thing. Now, the danger here is if you do that, but it's actually like you're trying to prospect. There's a difference between a client event for prospecting and a client event for showing your appreciation. When I talk about client appreciation, it could be just giving your top 10, top 50, whatever clients a call and say, I just want to tell you that I really appreciate you. And now, I mean, imagine how powerful that would be. I appreciate you sticking with me, Is there anything that we can do for you, or whatever the case may be? But it's just like checking in with people and just telling them that you appreciate them, because often nobody tells us that they appreciate us, and we don't tell anybody that we appreciate them. So that's very, very important. And whatever you do in these appreciation sort of activity, okay, let's say you have an event and you want to say thank you, then make sure that that's what you do, and you do a lot of valuable stuff. But you don't tell them that, listen, I do estate planning, and listen. So we've had all these people here talk about this, but this is how we can help you with. Yeah, that's not the place for it. If it's an appreciation event, and you focus on saying thank you, and that is all that it is about. And in that way, you can have a lasting impact and a lasting memory with that client, because usually they go to these things with an expectation of being sold to. So client appreciation events, there's a difference between a client event and a client appreciation event. This all becomes part of your client experience. How do we drive that through being intentional in that sense? All right. Cool beans. So we're on the hour. Let me see quickly the comments. So Johan Westhuizen says, see the video clips on YouTube from Joe Pine on the experience economy. Yeah, I've watched that a number of times. They are great. You can use NetFlorist to send gifts to clients. Look at their website. Yes, they are delivering in this time, and even delivering groceries and food now. So maybe send food to your top clients. I don't know. Great idea. Thank you, Johan. Stephen, now, if I may, there is a book on customer experience about the Bloomingdale's store in the USA. The book is called Like No Other Store. The author is Marvin Traub in 1993. Thank you very much, Stephen. I love this. Please share your resources and things that you think will be valuable to everybody. I love it. Thank you very much, Stephen, for that as well. Let me see quickly. Yeah, it's going crazy here on LinkedIn. I love it. Johan Marais says, I agree with you. When you give advice, you are taking the client and his whole family future into your hands. You might not be there in the future to see this. Yes, that is it. Where am I now? Okay. Peter, walking a client back to their car after the meeting is also a nice touch. Yes. Ronnie says to Peter, it makes them feel special and that you have time for them. Absolutely. I love it. Terence, speaking of courier, I'm looking for recommendations. Both Courier Guy and Internet Express have lost critical documents of mine. That's not nice. Let me see. I've lost critical. Please help. This will be majority in Gauteng. I will also send you some recommendations, Terence. I will definitely do that. Financial plan. Yeah, Neil says the financial plan is a very tangible item and an area advisors can differentiate themselves. Maybe a topic for another day. Definitely, thank you. I'm going to put it on the list, Neil, because I've actually done a whole program and a whole course for the FBI on this a few years back. And Vessel and I spoke about this again now on Friday, kind of thing. Because, what does that look like and how can you use that to differentiate yourself? And does it mean a thicker document or should the pictures be more beautiful, or the way you bind it and give it to it? How do you use the financial plan to do that? Aramex is okay. So go, Terence. We have been using Courier Guy, no problems. Definitely should be a topic of another day. Yep, we'll do that. Okay, John is also giving advice there. Sounds great, John. We'll check them out. Thanks, Bronwyn. I really like the way you convey this message today. I completed the course on this. It was very good info, but very higher grade and boring. I must say that the next level on my course, this to roll out to my brokers. Listening to the way you convey it, I will do the same. Awesomeness. Thank you, Bronwyn. That's a great compliment, and I really appreciate it. Alrighty, so that's it for today. There are more things that I can talk about in terms of customer experience or client experience, however you want to define it. People are playing around with words. Some people feel that client is more in a professional setting and customer is more in a retail setting. I don't know. Doesn't really matter whether it's customer experience, client experience, and I even have something that I call advisor experience, where I help consultants, deliver a value. Like the same way that I'm talking to you about client experience, I'm talking to them about advisor experience. So a bit of a different thing about how can they up the experience that you have. And it'll actually be cool to hear the kind of experiences that you have with your consultants. Who are your best consultant and why, and then the ones that are not so great. I don't want to know who they are, but just maybe send me an email and tell me that sort of the things, or send me a voice note or something if you want. Whatever is going to be easiest for you. Guys, thank you very much. I'm off. I hope you have a fantastic day further. Thank you very much for all the comments. Thank you very much for being here every single day. There's a lot of you are regulars. I really appreciate it, whether it's a weekend or in the week you're here. And I know during this time it's easy to be here, but I don't take it for granted. I want to say thank you very, very much. And I wish you and your family a fantastic day. And I'll see you back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., same place, same time. And stay safe.